We're Batman at 89. Hello and welcome once again to Batminute 89, the show that deflects the blades of ignorance and smashes you in the face with the truth. 1 minute at a time, 3 days a week. You know, that'll do. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I'm really enjoying the fact that you're clearly going out and writing these in advance now.
I'm coming up with them 5 seconds before.
Pretty good. Yeah. That was pretty good for like a 5 second before one. Yeah. I'm the other host, Niall McGowan.
Thank you.
I don't have anything fancy to say, unfortunately. So.
Well, our guest will. Our guest is none other than the one, the only, Gary Roby of Harry Potter Minute and Ferris Bueller's Minute Off.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And how dare you put me on the spot? I don't have anything fancy to say either.
You will do throughout the episode. You'll be fine. But yes, welcome to the show. This is a minute 69 of Batman, and the minute starts with said Batman beating a guy senseless, and it ends with the Batmobile coming to life, all on its own, and who knows what. Going on a robot rampage, perhaps.
Batman versus the Batmobile, right there. That's a film right there. I mean, I guess technically they do it in the second one, but it's still the Penguin controlling it, so I guess it's not really him versus the Batmobile. Plus, he's inside it.
Has that ever happened for a whole comic book where the Batmobile's gone rogue? I can't think of anything.
The thing is, I can guarantee, I can't say for certain, but I can guarantee that, yeah, probably has. It's like, at this point, any plot line. It's just like, has there ever been one where, like, Batman he forgot to get eggs and he had to run out and get them quick? It's like, yeah, probably.
Yes,
almost definitely.
Batman goes for waffles. Great. I would still read that. But anyway, in the minute. Yeah,
Me too.
I'm not alone, thank God. So minute 69, yes, we are back with Batman in the alleyway. And the end of the fight sort of comes here as Batman punches the guy right in the face and knocks him out cold.
Yes, it's Mac McDonald, as we know from Red Dwarf. Actually, there you go. One of the goons we mentioned last minute, Fedora Goon, was he was Old Lister in an episode of Red Dwarf. And here we go, Mac McDonald, a co-goon. He's also, he was the captain of the Red Dwarf. So there you go.
Everything is connected.
Oh.
Yeah, and he gets a couple of real, like, because everyone else is usually like one blow and they're done. He gets a couple of smacks here, and I do love I think it was at the end of the last minutes, but I love the timing of, like, he comes up to Batman with the gun ready as Batman kicks it away. You can audibly hear it gone off, so it's literally a split second. He would have shot him square in, like, the chest, but he just managed to deflect him at the literally split second kind of timing, which I thought was
yeah.
And it brings up one thing, like, what happens throughout this whole fight. That because, you know, Vicky's taking photographs, she's, you know, constantly flashing the flash bulb's constantly going off, which I thought, well, I don't know if it's a flash bulb, because I guess you'd have to replace. No, it's a proper little thing. So
I know nothing about photography, so don't ask me.
George Hendricks is the man we need here. George. Yeah, so she's flashing, which initially was, you know, where the less cynical side of us was hoping that it was deliberately caused a distraction. But she is just taking photographs now just to get the scoop, basically.
Well, she might as well document it, to be fair. There's nothing she can really do to help. Plus, does Batman need help? I mean, look at him. He's kicking butt.
He gets into some butt kicking right here. But I did think that the flashing and the fact that sometimes it almost lands connecting with the blows, I thought was a deliberate nod to the pow, wham, zap, like the flashes on the 1960s show. Like in the middle of a fight, you'd have a thing flashing up in the screen. So I was wondering if that was like, this might have been, we can't do that, but we can, in their first big Batman fisticuffs scene, we can actually have like a little subtle nod to it. So I thought that was, I'm hoping that's what they were going for. That might have not been at all. They're like, no, it was just Vicky Vale was taking photographs. What are you talking about? But
I've never considered that at all, but I think you might be onto something there. Although, actually, I hate to nitpick acting and creating of movies because it's hard work. But I did go through this little fight frame by frame. And the Joker goon here, I can't remember his actual goon name. Did he have a name?
Which one? The Mac McDonald one?
Yeah.
Or I think he's literally called like overweight Joker Goon.
Oh, that's terrible. More
Aw.
waste.
Poor guy.
Batman Wiki doesn't care for your sensitivity.
It's not a safe space for people like us.
It's like, he knew what he was signing up for.
Yeah, he reacts to the punch Batman gives him quite a bit before it's actually delivered.
Oh.
Which again, I'm nitpicking, but that is the nature of this show,
Yeah,
obviously. So no offense to him, but he does react to the punch quite before it even comes close to his face.
Well, this.
Well, yeah, exactly. I won't knock him because if I was in the same situation, I'd be flinching about 5 hours before the punch came at me. But like, no.
As I think, I guess we've seen worse because I think it might have been even you who forwarded it on to me, John. Like back when Dark Knight Rises came out, one of the fights at the end too. It's so weirdly choreographed that like Batman's punching the air about 5 meters away from people and they're falling over. And
Yes,
stuff.
that was
and it's
me.
like, yeah, you think you think Chris Nolan would have had that sorted? I mean, what the hell?
But see, if you don't notice it when you watch the movie, does it matter?
Well, I mean, it depends. Maybe we didn't notice it until it was up on the internet. But it could have been someone in the cinema going, "What the hell?" Like a real.
No. It'll be some freak going through like we are, minute by minute, frame by frame.
Like, hey, that blow didn't land.
Like, because we've been talking so much about the Shining, and like because the Shining Minute podcast just launched, or Shining 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Sorry, but I remember before I saw The Shining, I was aware of Stanley Kubrick's meticulous, obsessive nature of like documenting, or not documenting, but like making sure every frame was perfect, and he was to the point of near insanity that he was so particular about what he wanted. And I remember the first time I watched it, and the shots of like the camera zooms down over the water through the mountains over to Jack Torrance's car, and there's a bit. First time I watched it, in the opening couple of seconds, you see the shadow of the helicopter on the mountainside, and it's like, that's distracting. And it was worse because I knew how particular he was about it, and it's like, you didn't catch that one there, did you, Stan? It's like,
I don't know. Maybe that ate him alive, but he couldn't afford to go and do that one tiny shot again. It's like, oh, jeez, I'm going to have to just go with it. A bit like when, you record a podcast and you get some bad audio. It's like, you do what you can, but sometimes you've got to just go with it.
But, yeah, I mean, I think like re-releases and stuff, I think it's been airbrushed out, but I'm pretty sure certain like DVD copies, if you just YouTube the opening credits, you'll probably see the helicopter, which I'm certain they'd probably talk about on that podcast as well. But so there is a level of like, that didn't ruin the film for me by any means, but there was a bit of like, what happened there? Just yeah.
Yeah. See, I do like these things being pointed out, but at the same time, I hate when people are smug about it. A bit like, well, look how terrible this is. Isn't it rubbish? It's like, no, come on. It's fine to point it out, but don't be nasty.
A genuine Simpsons, well, I certainly hope someone got fired for that blunder kind of at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll tell you what's not blunderous is the goon who appears next, because I think we were talking just before we started recording. I fucking love this guy so much. He's just awesome.
He is amazing.
It's his introduction. It's again because he's not.
He just comes flying over the wall.
Yeah, and he's not with the original group. He's obviously had to come and catch up to them wherever he was. I don't know why he was hiding behind this fence.
Well, he's special forces. You send him in when you need the big guns.
Did they call for him? Where did he? How
He's
did
got a
he get
pager.
here?
You just page him.
It could have been like when they crashed into the cabbage in crates, and like you've seen the car speeding off, and there was a guy going like, "Oh, you assholes!" And it could have been maybe he stepped out of the car and be like, "I'll take care of this fella," and like not take care of him in like a sword way. He could have been like, "All right, we'll exchange details." And we'll have
Like, we're sorry. We were just we're gonna give you guys a lot of money later. Just hang in there.
like, I'll tell you what. If you show up, when the parade's happening, there's gonna be loads of money. I'm giving you the inside track. We're not supposed to tell anybody at this point, but there's something coming. Okay, you're gonna get your money back. All right, don't worry about it. And then he psyched himself up on the way down, where he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna get like all ready to jump over a fence."
Well, I love the way he comes.
How does he jump over this fence? It's so
Yeah,
tall.
what the hell? Is he like from crouching?
Is there a trampoline on the other side?
I was going to bring this up actually because there is a wrestler, Sin Cara, and he does this to get into the ring, and they shoot it from like an angle where it looks like he's just jumping from the floor right into the ring, but he does it with a trampoline. That they hide a little trampoline and he flies in. So are we to believe that this, in the world of Batman, of the movie, that on the other side of this fence, this goon, this crook, has a trampoline set up just for the entrance? Does he fly in? Or is he supposed to be out of like Crouching Tiger or something, you know?
And he can just leap 10 feet in the air and do this amazing
Oh, that would be an
flip.
amazing fight with Batman. If he's doing all Crouching Tiger style martial arts, just floating through the air, and Batman's having to deflect everything.
It could be that when he was getting there, it was like a Ferris Bueller situation where he's running through like the back gardens of like these tenement buildings.
Yes. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, there just happens to be a trampoline. It's like, oh, I can make such a cool.
There's a little girl jumping, and he takes advantage of that bounce to get over the fence.
So in his head, he's just going like, like the entire run down there.
So are you suggesting then that this goon is trying to get home in time so he's not discovered? And he just happens across Batman on the way?
That could be. We don't know. He doesn't get much dialogue beyond
No.
his amazing vocal performance of just
He is fantastic, isn't he? I mean, I looked him up, and I apologize in advance for my pronunciation of his name. Anyway, he is played by a man called Sken Kpadong, and he is a Muay Thai and Krabi Krabong practitioner and teacher. Yes, he's very famous martial artist, very highly regarded teacher, which confuses me because everything this character does looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He just waves the swords around randomly.
Well, he seems to be. He's because the guy seems like outside this film, he is. Yeah, as you're saying, he's like pure, complete master. He's absolutely amazing what he does. But this seems to be like this guy is just comedy relief. Because he's like,
Yes.
Because he goes into a full he's swinging the swords around and he's just yelling constantly.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing. Or it doesn't look
No,
like
he's
he
just sort of
knows
going
what he's doing.
with some swords.
No, Batman just stands there and stares at him, and I almost expect this to be like that moment in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He just pulls something out and shoots
Oh,
the
that'd be
guy.
amazing. He could use like because Batman's got like taser type weapons, hasn't he? He could do
Well, he
that.
almost
Yeah.
kind of does. Because it's just like after all this guy showboating, because he's doing like he's connecting the sword. Like they do have a gauntlet sword fight, whereas Batman's just deflecting all the blows, Wonder Woman style. And then at one point, the guy kind of lets his guard down for a split second, and then Batman just kind of just pats him in the face, and it kind of takes him aback a bit. And it takes him a second to be like, and he starts it again, like the Energizer Bunny or something. And then after all that, all Batman has to do is just kick him square in the face, and he's down. And it's like, it is.
Yeah, it's like this. It takes him no effort to get through this guy.
And I've gone looking because I was thinking like, oh well, this is we get this minute we see Batman engaged in fisticuffs. What's his training exactly?
Well,
Like,
yeah, actually,
what's,
before you say, that's what I was going to bring up. Actually, you know when Batman does that little stance,
yeah.
I thought that was interesting because it's the first time in this movie we've seen, and it's alluded to the fact that Batman has martial arts training. Because the way he does that stance, it's clear he knows what he's doing. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can deal with this.
But we see like this kind of sword gauntlet thing. If we do see him training in that in Batman Begins as well. Like we saw it in the ice with the Raja. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Henry Ducard at that point in the film.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently it's like, so what martial arts does Batman know? And apparently Batman has mastered every martial arts in the world in the comics lore. But
No,
but-
you can't. That's not possible.
yeah, I think that's a lot of the forums are like, it would take you like 80 years to do that. There's no way.
Can't he just be like a master of 3? Can't he just do like I don't know, Hungar, Wing Chun, one or two others. Just keep it simple.
Well, apparently he does have his primary form of combat is an idiosyncratic admixture of Taekwondo, Judo, Muay Thai, Karate, karate, as the Westerners call it. And,
Well, karate is actually correct. So we'll
yeah. But boxing, jujitsu, and ninjutsu. And then apparently in the Nolan version, they particularly use a version called Krav Maga. So,
Krav Maga, yeah.
Krav Maga. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm not very well versed in.
No,
martial
that's
arts.
fine. That's used by the Israeli special forces, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. So, but obviously, this version of Batman, he knows his stuff anyway. He's clearly got some kind of sword training, and the fact that he's able to block every one of these guys' blows. And I suppose we could take it as the comic lore that maybe he does have this admixture of Taekwondo, Judo, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I thought he would do Wing Chun though, because Wing Chun, that's the first one Bruce Lee learned. Wing Chun is very close combat. It's literally like face to face. It like you are a couple of inches from each other when you fight. And it's really short kicks and stuff. So I thought that'd be like a very Batman thing because he's using the gauntlets, he's in people's faces. So I'm surprised they didn't mention that.
and we're talking about though who would have choreographed the fighting for this. It's actually this guy, the swordsman guy, did the choreography for the whole thing.
Wow.
So not just a one-note joke character. Although the thing is, because I love him and I love how easily he's taken out in the end of it. I was shocked to find and going through it a minute at the time. You'll know at the end of the movie, there's up in the bell tower, there's another guy that Batman takes out with one blow. It's the guy who like jumps up and he's got he's doing all the somersaults, and then he's got like little things attached to his legs, and Batman just sort of like holds out his hand.
Yeah.
I was convinced it was this same guy, and that was a continuation of the joke. Was that Batman just keeps taking out this guy who's like peacocking and trying to show off how cool and impressive his flipping around is so much, and he just like instantly just one hand out takes care of him. But tragically, it's not the same guy. So
that would be better if it was. That would really make it a fun gag.
Yeah.
But the guy who it actually is, we'll talk about in that minute. Actually, I'll save all that for later on because he
Save it.
So, in the like current iteration of the Marvel movies, the way that those have worked, whenever you have like there's like major villains that pop up, like there's like the big bad of the movie that the villain's fighting, but like this guy feels like the kind of guy that like pops up in, like I think in Captain America they have like Batroc the Leaper shows up for like a scene. It's like one moment where he has this fight with this guy that's like unlike anyone else in the team that he's fighting with, but like there's a comic person you can point to. Is there like, or is this just something that's made up for this movie, or is there a character like this guy? Like, is this inspired by something?
I don't think so, because as we've like mentioned in like previous minutes and stuff, this film's not really too into like having little nods to like other.
It's not like catering to the
No.
comics.
Yeah, it's the only thing they really do
Okay.
is the Corto Maltese reference. Like that's. But in the '86 script, there's loads of little nods that they're like, no, take all that out. So I mean, we could say that, and then they'll be like, no, he's very blatantly based on this swordsman from such and such. But
No, I don't think he is.
At the top of my head, I don't think he's supposed to be.
It doesn't seem like that's something they were.
It's
like,
a shame
interested
because
in.
the finished movie has so many opportunities for references to the comics, and we can pinpoint exactly where they would go. We have before.
Yeah.
We've gone. This is where they would reference something. This is where.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing because superhero movies were dead, they thought, well, we'd better not do that too much because we're trying to revive this thing. We're trying to get casual people in. So I think they were like, let's cut all of that out.
Yeah. Although I was wondering, we got the brief close up of the swordsman's face. I thought he might have been trying to do a little reference to Prince and himself with his facial hair. So he's got like a little Prince mustache there. I wonder if he's like, I wonder if Prince is going to be on set. I'll grow this tash, and then they'll have something in common. It's like,
Well, if you're going to steal from someone for your looks, steal from Prince.
Yeah. If someone told me that was Prince, that the guy was, yes, Prince in the sunglasses and a beret, I'd be like, I could almost believe it. I'd be like, really?
Martial arts Prince.
Yeah, the Prince comes in, he knows how to just flail swords around and just go, like over and over and over again. But
Well, did you notice as well? It might just be me, but you can hear him screaming, but a lot of the time you can't see his mouth moving. Like they've just ADR'd all these screams in, I think. 90% of them.
might be that they were looking to go for that old kung fu movie vibe of the really bad dub.
Maybe, yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't have his mouth sync up to what he's actually saying. That's defies the rules of that genre entirely.
Well, you say going for a kung fu movie vibe. I mean, another thing that makes me think that is the swords themselves, because the sound of them is so cheesy. It's exactly out of a martial arts film, and they don't look very dangerous. They kind of look like training swords or something. Like I do Tai Chi, and the really advanced people do Tai Chi with swords, and the swords kind of look like that. They don't look very deadly.
Although, I've just noticed buried down deep in my notes here. I should clarify this because it should have brought up the first time. Apparently, it's official that Batman has mastered 127 forms of martial arts. That's the official statistic now. So.
Wow.
Oh, that's stupid. Come on, four. That's a sensible number.
Apparently, though, they'd list parkour as one of them. That's not a martial art.
No, come on. I mean, it's impressive. I can't do it, but it's not a martial art.
And I mistakenly said apparently it's Kishi is what they predominantly use in the Nolan films, whereas I said something else earlier.
You said Krav Maga, yeah.
Krav Maga. So we can either edit that out or I'll admit, sorry, I should have looked further down into my notes where I had the correct information. So there you go. So it's Kishi he uses in Batman Begins.
Kishi. Okay.
If you want
okay.
more, the Dark Knight Minute people, they will be able to tell you that, in more depth than I am, because that's their movie. they will talk about that in depth.
Yep.
So.
Shout out to them. Check that out. I like the way as well here Vicky's getting pictures of all of this action, because, I mean, being serious here, that's a hell of a scoop. These are going to be great photos.
Yeah. She's probably the first person that's taken photographs of, Batman and combat.
Yeah, in full action. So people know what he's all about here. Because before he was just kind of like a myth, wasn't he? He was talked about on the streets.
Yep. Probably just wishing, I really wish I had audio of this guy and all this roaring that he's doing, because this is what's really making the fight for me, But,
well, if only they had podcasts in '89.
But of course, though, after this guy's been defeated, there's one more challenger who steps up, albeit briefly.
A new challenger appears. Have I messed up my Street Fighter reference there? I can't remember the exact line.
But yeah, of course, we got Bob with his huge dagger that he's got here. Kind of slinks up behind. Batman gives him a little, the little finger curl of, come on, let's go. And
yeah, I loved that. Was that meant to be like Bruce Lee? Because I got the impression, it was. He doesn't do the whole hand, but it's the same kind of thing.
Almost definitely, I'd say. Bob just sort of cuts his losses and just runs away. Although, in the trading cards, there's apparently there's a bit of confusion about this. A lot of people, there's a debate about whether there was a scene shot of Bob actually fighting Batman, because there's a trading card of him fighting him with the knife, and there's behind the scenes footage of from some sort of featurette where it is like Bob's over. It's the same kind of thing. He's just like trying to land blows with the knife, and Batman, much like like Neo at the end of the Matrix when like Agent Smith's trying to pound him, and Batman, like Neo is very sort of like nonchalantly just sort of like deflecting every blow with like one hand. Batman's doing the same. He's just like, bah. But some people have said that they can remember that scene being in the movie when they first watched it, and then this been like a thing that was removed maybe after like test screenings or after its initial release. Although then other people have said that it's because it seems as if people were there to film the featurette, and it might have been they just did a little dance number for the people, for the press there, and just went to Tracy Walter, go over and throw a couple of knife moves, and they'll see Batman in action, and they can take photographs of it and stuff.
That would make more sense, because I've not seen that. But then the mind plays tricks, because for years and years, I thought the original Star Wars had the scene in with the fat Irishman Jabba the Hutt. I'm sure my VHS, my dodgy fake VHS from Cyprus had that scene in. It very well may have done. It was from Cyprus. But, you know, so people might just be getting confused. They've seen this thing on TV. And over the years, your memory does just degrade into a mess. And then you're 31 and you don't know what's going on. Sorry, that got personal for a minute.
It could be that maybe your Cyprus connection who got you hooked up with that was like, that was the first ever fan edit of Star Wars. Where the guy got a hold of that footage, like, no, I'm putting it back in. Like, it's...
Screw this.
Yeah, it needs to be there. It's integral to the whole plot.
Well, with this as well, did anyone else get this impression? I love the way when Bob pops up with the knife, though, before he runs away. It came across to me like a video game, you know, where sometimes they'll attack you one at a time. Like you play Golden Axe or something from back in the day, and one of them will approach you and start with the sword, and then the next one will come along. That's the kind of vibe I got. Why didn't Bob attack Batman from behind there during that brief sword fight?
I don't know, man. That guy was flailing those swords pretty widely.
I was thinking the same thing. I wouldn't want to get in the way of that other guy.
Maybe he's known.
Like, hell with this.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to slash me open or something.
Yeah, maybe that's a deliberate thing. Maybe they know, oh, this guy, he thinks he knows more than he does. Don't get near him. Just stay away.
I do love as well, though, that when Bob does appear, like he's kind of slinking up like he's trying to be sneaky. And the fact that Batman's already staring at him, like he knew that he was there. And he's like, there's this one guy left. And then in fact, he's like, oh, I'm going to get him. And it comes up and he sees that he's already staring at him. And it's just like, oh, he's that good. All right. I'm not going to leave.
No, I'm out of here.
It did bring it to mind as well as a great scene in, I think it's Mystery of the Batwoman. It was one of the animated films. It was quite late on. It was like one of the best goon interactions I've ever seen. Where they had a fellow who earlier in the film, you know, he had an altercation with Batman earlier in the film, got the crap knocked out of him. And then later on, Batman breaks into like this apartment, and he's like leafing through like a drawer looking for files or something. And like that same goon comes up, and he hears him, and he walks into the room, and him and Batman just kind of like lock eyes. And the guy just kind of he just steps back out and just closes the door. And then like the other goon's like, oh, what was it? And he's like, nothing. I didn't hear anything. And he just like walks away. And it's just like, yep, he just learned his lesson the first time. You don't get involved in a fight with this guy. So it's a terrific scene. I'll try to YouTube it if I remember to do so when this episode airs. So I'll put the link up.
You won't remember.
Hopefully I'll put a link up in the Facebook Society. So. But
then, of course, Batman. He calls into that little device again. He's got that little, I don't know what you want to call it. It's kind of like a little microphone.
Yeah.
And he asks for the Batmobile shields to open, and it dutifully complies in another lovely little animation.
I really like the way they animate that.
It's so cool.
Both like when it was closing up a couple minutes ago, and now that it's like exposing itself, like that it's like uncoiling again.
Yeah, it's a great look. I mean, I don't want to just have a go at CGI movies and stuff, but I love this effect. Like, this looks more charming, shall we say. You can see someone's put some time and effort into this.
But yeah, and then we got the Batmobile launches back into life, and that's us in terms of action, isn't it, really, for this week?
Well, I do like the way the car comes alive and drives itself, because it made me think that maybe Batman kind of invented these new Teslas and Ubers that we're getting, you know. Yeah, it could be his company, couldn't it? That could be how he's still sustaining his income to this day.
Well, I mean, you know, Wayne Enterprises, by all means, could be developing like the self-driving car, could be working on the flying car. We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let me say to you, Uber, if you can send me a Batmobile to pick me up, I will pay triple.
A triple? It's
That
just
would be
more like,
amazing.
oh, we need to go like a mile down the road, so you're not getting that much more.
Well, actually, I remember last year when Rogue One was about to come out, Uber changed it so instead of the map being a car coming to pick you up, it was an X-Wing, which I thought was it was amazing.
cool.
It's like, oh, the X-Wing's outside my house, and then you go outside and you're like, oh wait, no, it is just a car. It was very upsetting and disappointing.
Yeah, I think around the same time I downloaded the Waze app to like as a GPS app because one of the voice options was C3PO. And I was like, yes, please, C-3PO, tell me where to go right now.
Well, back
That's the thing is Anthony Daniels, man. He'll do anything.
Oh yeah. Well, back in the day when AOL was a thing, and I'm trying to think when this would have been, probably around 1994, 95. When I had AOL, and you'd get a new email, it'd go, you've got mail, that famous thing. But you could get different audio packs, official ones that you could replace it with, or non-official. And they did an official C-3PO one. So when I got an email, it would go, you have correspondence requiring your attention.
That's amazing, and
it was the best thing ever. I was like, yes! And that was back in the day where getting an email was exciting. It wasn't spam. If you got an email, someone sent me a message.
I guess so. Now this is the time of the week, though. We'll give the floor to you, Gary, and just ask, what's your personal history with this film? Like, what's your your memories of first seeing it and stuff and all that?
I don't think... Oh, guys, I feel like I'm going to break your heart. I don't think I saw this movie until it went on Netflix, last year. This one in particular. Yeah. Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure the first Batman movie I saw was Batman and Robin, but, I wasn't really into, superhero stuff as a kid. But because I was the right age for Harry Potter, and then I started reading Lord of the Rings because those movies were happening, and I sort of and the Star Wars prequels were coming out, and as an 8-year-old, Phantom Menace was amazing. So
yes.
I kind of accepted those, and so I kind of missed on these for a really long time, and then I saw the Nolan movies as those were coming out, and I was a fan of Spider-Man, but it wasn't until pretty recently that that I took the time to sit down and actually go back and visit these. I don't think my parents owned them. I didn't really have access to them, and so when they went on Netflix, I spent the day and I watched both this one and the next one.
Hey, nice one. Which is your favorite?
Between the two, I think I like this one better.
Oh, no, that's the wrong answer.
Is it the wrong answer? Why is it the wrong answer?
No, that's not the right. John prefers the second one. I think this is the better film, but we have...
I think between the two, but then again, I've now seen this one more than the second one. I only saw the second one the one time, too. So.
Oh, you have to revisit it. We'll have to have you back for the second one.
Yeah, and I will absolutely take the time to sit down and rewatch it. I remember having fun and enjoying it when I watched it the first time, but... these are more colorful than I expected them to be, I think, because the Nolan films were the ones that I had seen the most of. I didn't even really watch the animated show a lot. I'd seen episodes of it, but it wasn't something that I've, sat down and really invested the time in.
In many ways, you're similar to me then, except I grew up with this and Batman Returns and that. But I never really got into a lot of superhero things other than this, because I controversially consider Batman separate from superheroes, because he's not, at least presented in these films, he's not super, is he? He's just a guy, and that's why I liked it. And then all the other comic book stuff I didn't even really get into until sort of halfway through the current Marvel thing. I started, I watched Captain America and things like that, and I was won over by them. But before that, I didn't dislike them, but I didn't really care about them either way, except for Batman.
Yeah, I understand. I think for me it was Spider-Man, because I was about this. I mean, not the same age. I was a few years younger than Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was when that first movie came out, and having a superhero character who is relatively close in age, who is trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life, and I really identified with that. That resonated with me a little bit deeper, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And then I started working at a movie theater when Iron Man 2 came out. Ooh. So I think I've seen every other Marvel movie in the theater because I worked there.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be able to, I remember seeing, I think at the end of Iron Man 2, they do the bit with Thor's hammer, and hearing people coming out and being like, oh my god, they're going to do a Thor movie. And, I'm such a fan of, world building.
Yes.
That I don't mind the fact that this, franchise culture thing is, taking over movies right now, because I think it's really fascinating when a movie can allude to something else and then pay it off later. Like, that's really impressive, and it's hard to do. And like, Harry Potter was 8 movies, and it took a long time to get that all. But in less than the same amount of time, I think Marvel put out 13 or 14 different films in the same universe.
Jeez.
Like, that's amazing.
It's amazing. Plus, like, TV shows as well on top of it has been like...
Yeah. They have, like... And so that's what... I think that's what's really fascinating for me with, like, what's going on with Star Wars now. Because Star Wars now has, like, the TV shows, the comics, the books, the movies, and all of them existed in the same world. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
If you can make that, like, compatible and it doesn't contradict itself, like, that takes a lot of effort.
To be honest, I'm surprised they're that restrained. I would make everything crossover all the time if I was writing this stuff.
Yeah, honestly, like, every time something in one of the books alludes to, like, something that happened in a TV show, I'm, like, delighted, but they don't, like, go full ham into it. Because I think, especially with the movies, I think the movies just expect that the majority of the people watching the movie aren't consuming any of the other content.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I guess that makes sense for this too. Like, we talked earlier about, like, this swordsman guy, like, whether or not he would exist in the comics. Whereas, like, now the Marvel movies have established enough that they can have, like, a minor villain pop up for a few minutes in a movie, and it's not super important to the plot, but, like, people who know who that character are like, excited by it.
Yeah. Like, if this was made now, that guy with the swords would be someone you know.
Would absolutely be someone. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's a thing, but it's a thing that exists, and they're all, like, in this. And so sometimes it's cool because, especially with those movies, they'll drop references to characters. Like, I think Stephen Strange got name dropped, like, years before Doctor Strange came out.
Well, I always liked that because, I mean, when we went to see Rogue One, bringing that up again, I'd read the book first, Catalyst, which was like the prequel to Rogue One, where it established Mads Mikkelsen's character and his wife and Jyn as a child. And so that opening scene of Rogue One, where you know, they're hunted down, to me, I was like in tears. It's these characters that I've just been reading about for days. Oh my God, I'm finally seeing them. But it still worked for other people who hadn't read it. Because I was with people who hadn't, and they still understood what was going on. But for me, it was like really emotional. Oh, it's them finally.
Imagine though, like, you sitting next to, like, your girlfriend in the cinema, and just, like, no matter what, like, Galen Erso's wife said, you'd be like nudging her, going, like, "That's so Galen Erso's wife. She would say that."
Yeah, I basically did do that. Yeah. And she was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Read the book."
I keep thinking I had something. Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, you know, it's kind of apt though that you know, Batman and Robin is the first one you saw, Gary, because I think that's the first. I think it might be the first one of these films that actually does allude to a wider world, because it has this is why Superman works alone. Like, I think at the time that might have been the first. Like, wait, what? Superman? What? It's like, you know, in the cinema in 1997, it was just like, so Superman and Batman are totally connected in this universe, and he actually exists outside Gotham, and blah 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 blah. I think that in terms of superhero films, I may be wrong, but I think that might be the first ever nod. So
that's really interesting to me. Like, I never considered that. Yeah, like, I guess a lot of the superhero stuff, the movies or whatever that happened before that, they don't, like, reference themselves or each other. They, like, play it as though they exist in their own. I think I've always, like, I think all the since I was a kid, I think that the movies have always sort of referenced each other, and maybe it's just because, like, I'm from a younger generation, but, like, the way that happens, especially with superhero movies, like, kind of alluding to the fact that these other things exist in this world. I actually got to be on Spider-Man Minute for the moment where Aunt May says, like, "You're not Superman, you know." And even though those are from different universes, that was a thing that, like, delighted me as a child.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I think that might have been like. I think that might have been like the minutes after me and John were on. Like, that's like, we're building up, like, yeah, Aunt May in the hospital and all that. I think that was like literally the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all connected,
Everything.
man. There you
Yes,
go.
it is all connected. Yeah, again, that's a hashtag apparently now. Hashtag it's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's become a thing. So once again, sadly for the final time, for now at least, before we go, Gary, where can our listeners find your shows and your words?
Yes, duelinggenre.com is the best place to find our shows. We are over there for Harry Potter Minute and Ferris Bueller's Minute Off. You can find our Facebook pages, Twitter, all those things on the internet. Ferris Bueller Minute, Harry Potter Minute. I don't know. You can find me at Gary Roby, at the Gary Roby on Twitter, because I didn't want to put Junior in my name. So I'm the Gary Roby on Twitter. And yeah, that's where you can find me. Come check out our stuff.
Well, and also with a "the" in the name, if you really want to tweet me personally, I have also done that just to be weird. So I am the Jonathan, which is a very strange reference to Everything is Illuminated. So make sure to watch that movie. That's a great movie. Or read the book, also a good book. If you want to get in touch with our show, however, we are on Facebook at the Batminute89 Listeners Society. We're on Twitter at Batminute89. And, Instagram and Tumblr, all of them. Just look us up. We're the first thing to appear. And make sure, number one, most important, review us on iTunes, because we will be very, very, very happy. And we'll shout you out on the show or something. Maybe, if we remember. No, we will. Don't worry. And, yeah, sadly, that is it from us for this week. And that is it from Gary as well. But we will be back on Monday. We will have a new guest and a new minute of Tim Burton's Batman.
Next time, Caped Collision Course. After a criminal crackdown via cracking skulls, the Batman calls for his automated Uba Uba. Will a high-speed fender bender be a life ender for the Green Defender? Find out next time. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.